Ping. You may have never heard of it, or if you've played video games before, you've probably seen it in the top corner of your screen and wondered what it actually is. I mean, you know that lower is better, but why is that? And why does this matter outside of video games as well? Well, today, my friends, you're about to find out. What is ping? Ping stands for Packet Internet Groper. I know that is a horrible name, but the idea behind it is actually quite genius. It was invented in 1983 by a guy named Mike Muse and was actually kind of based on a submarine sonar. You see, back then, networks were growing fast, but when something broke, you were basically flying blind. Like, was the issue your computer, the server, the connection? No one really knew. So Mike built Ping with one question in mind. Can this machine be reached across the network? And if the answer was yes, then it could. And if there was no answer, then it couldn't. That simple check actually turned out to be incredibly useful. Ping can actually uncover a few different things for us. Number one is checking if a host or server is online. We'll cover these in depth in the video. Number two is confirming your internet connection works. Number three is testing a network interface card using a loopback. And then number four was spotting DNS issues when names don't resolve. And you can do all this from a single line of code in your terminal. Well, maybe actually a few lines of code, but that's fine. We'll learn about it now. So how does ping actually work? Let's take a look at an example. So host A, that's you on your laptop, you want to know if another device, host B, is actually online. And by the way, when I say host, I don't just mean a laptop. It could be anything like a mobile phone or another laptop on your network or a router or a Raspberry Pi, literally anything with an IP address that can connect to a network. So basically what happens is your device sends out a tiny message called an ICMP echo request saying, "You up?" ? And if the host is online, it sends out an ICMP reply saying, "Yes, I'm up." Oh, if my boss sees this, I'm cooked. Anyway, that whole exchange, being the echo request and the echo reply, runs on something called ICMP, which stands for Internet Control Message Protocol. ICMP isn't used to send data like websites or videos. It's used to send signals like this device can't be reached or this took too long. Ping is just one tool that uses ICMP, but routers and other systems use it all the time to help diagnose issues or maybe help route traffic more efficiently. You may have heard of transport protocols like TCP and UDP. This is not that. ICMP runs directly on top of IP, so even when everything else is broken, it can still get through. Basically, it's the internet's way of saying, hey, what's really going on here? So anyway, that's enough theory. Let's take a look at an actual example. All right, so what I want you to do is open up your terminal. So if you don't know how to do that, just spotlight search terminal on a Mac or CMD if you're on a Windows machine. Once you're in your terminal, it should look something like this. And all I want you to do is type in ping space google.com, then hit enter. You're gonna see something like this. If you're on a Windows, it sends 4 pings and then it stops. If you're on Mac or Linux, the default is to keep going forever until you stop it. So in order to stop it, all you gotta do is just hit Control and C, and that ends the ping and then shows you a summary. Now, before we get into what the summary actually means, let's just take a look at what actually happened in our diagram. So basically what happens is first your system asks the DNS server, what's the IP address for google.com? And the DNS server replies with something like this, which is Google's actual server IP at the moment. This is a crucial step because ping actually needs an IP, not just a name. In step 2, you then send a ICMP echo request. So now that your computer knows the IP address, it builds a tiny ICMP echo request packet. Basically, it's saying, hey, to this IP address, are you up? This request is going to get wrapped inside an IP packet and sent out from the host A through your router across the internet to Google's nearest server, which is host B. Then in step 3, Google is going to reply with the ICMP echo reply. So if Google server is up and it's not blocking the ping, it sends back an ICMP echo reply, basically saying, yeah, I'm up. And that reply travels back all the way to your machine. And then finally, your terminal displays results like this. So let's go through this output step by step. So these 64 bytes from this IP address is telling you that your computer's received a message, specifically 64 bytes of data, from that specific IP address, which is Google's public DNS in this case. If you see this line, it means the host is online and it's reachable. If you don't, you'll get timed out and you get an error message, which we'll cover later on. The next part you're gonna see is this ICMP sequence number. It starts with 1 and increases by 1 for every ping your device sends. To be honest, it's mostly there to help track which IP request responds with which reply. If you see gaps, like maybe it goes 1, 2, 4, it means a ping gets lost. Then we've got TTL equals 118. So TTL stands for time to live. It's basically like a self-destruct timer for your packet. Every time your packet crosses a router, which is called a hop, this number goes down by 1. When it hits 0, the packet is dropped to prevent infinite loops. So if you started at 128 and now it's at 118, your packet passed through 10 devices. This kind of gives you a rough sense of how far a target is away from you, not physically, but in a network hop kind of way. And then lastly, you see time equals a certain number. This is the round trip time. So how long it took in milliseconds for your packet to go out, reach the other device, and then get a response. For general rule of thumb, under 30 milliseconds is excellent. 50 to 150 milliseconds is normal for long distance internet traffic. And then over 200 milliseconds is gonna feel laggy, especially in gaming or video calls. Like from one command, you just confirmed if your DNS is working, if Google is online, your network is stable, and if your latency is low. That's quite a lot of information for one cheeky text message. All right, so what happens when things don't work? What we've looked up is the best case scenario. You send a ping, you get a response back, life is good, all is well. But what happens when ping doesn't work? In this section, we'll look at when things go wrong and we'll look at the most common reasons for failure. You might also notice that the diagram just got a lot bigger. That's because real networks are more than just you and your server. Your ping might have to pass through a router or a DNS server or even multiple hops across the internet. This layout is just one possible route. Yours might be simpler or more complex. Maybe you're using a VPN or pinging something in your house. It may look slightly different to this, but this is just a good example so we can map things out. All right, the first one we're gonna go through is your request timing out. Now, basically what this means is that your computer sent packets, but it never got a response. This tells you that your network can send packets out, but somewhere along the way, something blocked it or dropped or ignored them. Some common causes of this are a target server is powered off or disconnected, or maybe a firewall is blocking ICMP replies, or it could be that a host is up, but it's actually configured to silently ignore pings. I think this is actually pretty common within AWS EC2 instances. They're configured like this by default. Oh, and speaking of AWS, I'd recommend doing our networking series. It is completely free and it's step by step, and you're gonna cover all of the networking concepts that I talk about, but in way more detail. You're gonna learn things like ping, you're also gonna learn about curl. I'd recommend doing this series because you're gonna get documentation at the end that you can showcase to recruiters. But in my opinion, learning by doing, and especially projects, is the best way to learn. And then also having documentation to showcase later is gonna help you land a job and showcase your skills. I'll leave it in the description below, but I really recommend that you do it. Don't just save this and then never touch it. You should do it. Anyway, on to the next one. And the next thing we're gonna be talking about is ping requests could not find host. Now, what this means is that you didn't even get to ping. The command failed before anything was sent because DNS couldn't turn the domain name into an IP address. This is a naming failure rather than a network failure. Some common causes are that you made a typo in the domain name. I've definitely done this and it's kind of embarrassing, but it happens all the time. Or maybe your computer can't reach the DNS server, or you may be completely offline. Common failure number 3 is destination host unreachable. So basically what this means is that your router got the ping packet, but it had no idea where to send it. So it sent the error back to you instead. The ping failed, but you got a reply, but not from the target, but instead from your own network. Some common causes of this are you're disconnected from your router, or maybe the target IP is actually outside your network and the router has no route to it. Or it could be that your static IP settings are wrong or a VPN is interfering. And the last common issue is packet loss, which looks like this. So basically what this is saying is that some of your packets made it to the destination and came back, but not all of them. This tells you that your path basically works, but something along the way is flaky. So common causes of this are weak or unstable Wi-Fi, overloaded routers or network congestion, or even faulty internet cables and intermittent interference. Oh, and I almost forgot, there's one special ping that you can do without even needing the internet. This is called a loopback test. It pings your own computer network's interface, and it basically says, am I working? If this fails, you know that the issue is not your internet, but it's instead your machine or your drivers, or maybe even your own network stack. So before you go blaming your internet service provider or your router, start here. Common times to do a loopback test is when your internet is down, or even if pinggoogle.com fails, it's a good time to do a loopback test so you know what the issue is. And if you just want to check if your own system is alive and working, it's kind of fun too. On to the next part. So as you can see, ping is pretty damn useful. I didn't even go into all the detail, but this is a lot of the basic stuff you need to know. As I said earlier in the video, I'd recommend doing our networking series where you're gonna actually learn these concepts more in detail, and maybe it doesn't make sense right now, but if you actually do a hands-on project, it will probably make sense. As always, leave a like, subscribe, do all of that cool stuff. But also, I just want to say, I hope you have an amazing week. You're doing really well. Bye.